Hey there, I, Sam Valentino, private toon detective, did some more findings on the whole thing with Netflix planning to buy Warner Brothers. They've even already come up with a slogan for this on their site, defining the next century of storytelling together. And they're still at it with rejecting Paramount-Skydance's hostile takeover, refusing those crooked Ellisons once again with their $108 billion deal. Warner should keep it up, since, as I said, even that mug David Zaslav seems well aware of the Ellisons being such bindlepunks worse than him. They want to stick with the Netflix deal, as it's cash in stock and it's board approved, while Larry Ellison did personally guarantee $40 billion to revive that Paramount bid, and I'm honestly hoping that goes nowhere.
You said it! Netflix sounds way more and more appealing than Paramount-Skydance, even if these mergers can get crazy.
Exactly. Also, once the Netflix deal's finalized, which should be later next year, it won't be changing most of the management positions, thankfully, compared to Paramount-Skydance's offer. And I've already mentioned how Paramount is especially interested in acquiring and folding CNN, and then just brushing off the rest of Warner Bros. Discovery and heavily damaging them. I've already speculated that they'll probably end up shutting down Warner Brothers Animation and burying all those legacy cartoon properties, only caring about their own newer hot properties. Whereas with Netflix, they'd likely still keep the studio and those properties alive. People online are still believing Netflix will put an end to Warner Bros. Releasing their movies theatrically, when this simply isn't entirely true. Like I've already said, this is how Netflix wants to expand and get into the theatrical movie business, producing and releasing them with Warner Brothers, and they have a contract that will last until 2029. But I have a wild hunch that they'll renew the contract afterward to continue releasing certain movies in theaters. Ironically, Paramount-Skydance vowed to release at least 30 movies theatrically if they got Warner Brothers, but already that may not happen since their Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender movie for next year is no longer going to be released theatrically and is instead going directly to Paramount Plus, likely due to the surprisingly poor box office performance of SpongeBob: The Search for SquarePants. So again, more points to Netflix. Also, I want to remind you all again with Warner Bros. Discovery indeed caring for the legacy animation properties like the Looney Tunes and such. There's still a good source of income for the company, allowing MeTV and MeTV Tunes to syndicate the cartoons and let them stream on Tubi, and the Blu-ray releases from Warner Archive. Like in March, we're getting the long-awaited second volume of the Looney Tunes Collector's Vault Blu-ray series. Also, from what I've been hearing, Netflix will likely be keeping Warner Brothers Home Entertainment and Warner Archive active, since they're already stated a few times that not much is going to change on the Warner side with the merger. Heck, I've even seen Netflix release some of their newest original shows and movies on DVD and Blu-ray, some of them even in conjunction with Warner Home Entertainment. Additionally, let me remind you all, with Coyote vs. Acme coming out next year, they're still actually being distributed by Ketchup Entertainment, after the mild success of their limited theatrical run of The Day the Earth Blew Up, the Looney Tunes movie. So even though that's not coming out until next August, once again I'll be urging you to go see it.
Yeah, word of mouth helped a lot with me and Porky's The Day the Earth Blew Up movie, including on his YouTube channel and Zach's other social media accounts. Woohoo!
Yep, I'm glad we could all help. And we also hope to a Coyote vs. Acme. Once it's released, the Warner Netflix merger will still be in progress. But should the movie be successful enough, Netflix can be convinced even further about the Looney Tunes' longevity. Additionally, while Comcast may be out of the bidding war, they are still interested in acquiring theme park rights, so they could still make a DC Comics superhero-themed land for at least one of their Universal Studios parks once their Marvel license runs out, like they initially planned to in the early 90s. And if that goes well, maybe they could even revive the Looney Tunes land plans they also had then. So anyways, Warner Brothers is still favoring Netflix, and pending that deal, and they find Paramount-Skydance's offer insufficient. It's good to see David Zaslav actually have some smarts in this case. The deadline for coming out with a decision has been extended to January 21st because of all this drama. I'm also bringing up again that with the Netflix deal, they mostly only want the Warner Brothers studio and library and streaming assets, but we'll also be getting the HBO network and HBO Max as part of this, and keeping the latter alive. Some of you may find this pointless, but I could see HBO Max still being used for streaming the more mature HBO kind of stuff. Since I've already talked about here several times about HBO Max phasing out content aimed at kids and families. It's why during this year they went and removed nearly all the cartoons that weren't Max originals, including the classic Looney Tunes and several Hanna-Barbera related properties, and a lot of the Cartoon Network and DC Comics animated shows. Even all but the latest season of Teen Titans Go hit the chopping block. And that's why they also didn't renew their license to stream Sesame Street, since in an ironic twist, Netflix got those streaming rights like I speculated. And when this year ends, I've gotten a hot tip that they'll be removing the remaining DC Comics animated stuff that wasn't produced for HBO Max, such as Batman the Animated Series, the 90s Superman animated series, Batman Beyond, the Sandra Schwartz Justice League and the Batman shows, and Batman the Brave and the Bold. But several of those shows are now streaming on Amazon Prime Video at least. Kind of like how we now have the classic Looney Tunes and MGM cartoons and some Hanna-Barbera related content streaming for free on Tubi. And of course the dark and violent Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated now being on Netflix, the future owner of Warner Brothers, where they're also developing a live-action Scooby-Doo series to stream there. Yet on Netflix, in addition to still carrying a TVY 7 rating, they also describe the show overall as goofy, which really doesn't fit the tone at all. It's incredibly dark and scary and violent, and thus wouldn't be very suitable for little kids. But at least it's also made with older children and teenagers in mind, compared to that other edgy and violent Scooby-related series on HBO Max I won't say the name of, even if it's been canceled for over a year now. But with Netflix owning Warner Brothers, all those aforementioned cartoons can now just stream there, given Netflix still has a selection and settings for kids and family audiences compared to Max, such as DreamWorks Animation producing stuff to exclusively stream there, rather than on Comcast and Universal's own Peacock streaming service. And also, they can produce new animated shows to stream on Netflix, in addition to also likely airing them on Cartoon Network or something, while also continuing the tradition of releasing Warner's feature films to theaters, likely past 2029 as well. So hopefully cinema owners won't really have to worry like they currently are now. Anyways, the holidays are over, and I for one am not let down by that. But I'm still a little nervous about what the outcome of this whole Warner Bros. Bidding, I will admit.
You think you're nervous? My blood pressure is through the roof because of all this.
I don't blame you, Daffy. Even if they make one really bad mistake, my heart rate won't be having any of it. But with this year almost over, in some ways we should be more open about what happens next, as long as you all keep watching this channel to see.